Hi everyone, good afternoon. We are together to do the daily read with Little Red Witch here. Today is Wednesday, June 5th. I have gone ahead and pulled my card so I don't have to have you watching that and waste time. So I'm going to begin. Alrighty, today's cards got a lot of reversals again. However, this spread doesn't mean that's a bad thing. Actually, these reversals are, some of them are a good thing. And the ones that are not, well, you know what we're gonna do. We're gonna find out how we are gonna change that. So, we start out with the Page of Swords, which represents that little person, that little internal self of you, which I'm happy to see this is upside down, because what this is showing is that you are starting to release your words. Whatever thoughts are going through your head and the emotions they might be bringing about, instead of festering with all those emotions and thoughts, you are finally releasing, which is very good, because most of us have a whole lot of crap that we're holding on to, and the problem is it's become a habit. Since we were young, we've learned to do that in order to cope with what is going on in our lives. So I'm happy to see that you are finally releasing. The next card is another swords, Eight of Swords. Now this is upside down, and this is very good. This is very good to have as a reversal, which completely makes sense, because this card is showing that you are releasing, you're not holding in anymore, and you're releasing with balance. That everything we do should be with balance, because going off on somebody and working yourself up really isn't gonna help you. It's just gonna probably add more emotions on top of what you already have, because you're releasing it in a vengeful, maybe spiteful way. So this is showing that because you're releasing, you're not being a prisoner in your head anymore. What do I mean by that? Okay, I'm going to turn this so you can see what I'm talking about. So if you see this card, there's swords that are all around this woman here. And then there's just one sword that's going through her clothing. It's not stabbing her. She's not bleeding. However, she is sitting in this little perimeter of swords and like a prisoner. But if you look in front of her, there are no swords. This sword went through her her dress sleeve here, but if she wanted to get away, she can pull that sword out, or let that sword rip her sleeve off, not her arm, but her sleeve, so that she can just move forward. So the analogy that I often use for this is, picture a bird cage that you have, some birds in there, and you have decided you're going to let the birds free. So you open a little door in that cage so the birds can fly out. Well, the birds never fly out, they just stay in that cage. Well, all those birds in that cage represent all the crazy thoughts that are going on in your head, that you're carrying, that you're pondering on, and hell, new thoughts could be accumulating, because and just one on top of another on top of another, when all you have to do is let those birds go. Let those thoughts go. You are not a prisoner. No one is holding you with whatever is going on in your head. You are not being held there. You are holding yourself there. So only you can get yourself out. Now, this card originally came undone, which shows me that you have let the birds out. And remember, when I say the birds, every bird is a thought. Is a thought, an emotion that brings with thoughts, and you are speaking. You are releasing whatever you need to release, and you're no longer holding on in your head that doesn't serve you, because you've decided, oh, the door is open. You know what? These birds, it's too crowded in here, number one, and they're not doing anything for me. They're not benefiting me. They're not bringing something to me. So you're blowing them out. You're letting them move out that door. So those are all your thoughts that you have decided you're done with. And this is fantastic. This is not an easy thing to do. This is a huge habit that we almost feel crippled with to even move that direction. So that you could be in that direction is fantastic. The next card is the Hangman, and this is reversed. And this card, we need to get this card upright, because what this card is saying right now is, so you are releasing, you're letting those thoughts and those emotions that do not serve you leave, but you're also sort of shooing everything out, and like, okay, doesn't serve me, getting rid of that, not going to think about that, it's not going to do any good for me, blah blah blah. This card is showing, because it's reversed, that you need to sort of take a step back, and everything that you're working on here with releasing, with letting those thoughts that don't serve you anymore, step back and realize what you're releasing, because what you were holding on to, you held on for a long time. And a process of working through this is understanding why you held on to it, and the benefit of you releasing, and how this is going to do you good, and how, with understanding that you're not going to fall back into this pattern and put yourself back inside that cage. Now, you might slip into that cage, because when we have done something for so long, we have a habit of slipping right back into the norm, and being in that cage was the norm. So don't be disappointed when you find yourself back in that cage. Realize, even if you get there, the door is still open, so you're not stuck in there. And that's where this comes in. This is showing that this card needs to be turned around, so that you can start giving yourself a little bit of time, a day, so that you can work this through and realize why you've held on to this, why you felt it was so important to make such a big issue out of it. It doesn't serve you anymore, so you're letting it go. But then when you let it go, you also have to make sure that you're letting it go because you understand why you're letting it go. You understand why it's not going to do anything for you by holding it on. But it's just not something you crumble up and then you throw into the garbage. It's not like that. So right now, this card is showing that giving yourself a little more you time. And I know we live in a crazy busy world, especially if you have children, you're working. It's just one thing after another, and you never get to just be still for you. Well, even if you have to start out with like just 5 minutes, give yourself 5 minutes. And if that means you have to go to the bathroom and lock that door, and you might have kids on the other side banging on that door, tune them out, because it's only 5 minutes, and that 5 minutes is gonna go super fast. Tune them out, take a deep breath, bring in a few thoughts that you're working with, and realize little by little, those birds are gonna start flying, and you're gonna understand why. Now, looking at the rest of your spread here, you're making changes here, and these are not easy changes. These are changes you've been carrying and doing for probably for however old you are. So this is a good step. This is a great step. But here you need to give yourself some me time, okay? With your busyness and all the stresses that you're carrying, and who knows what else you're carrying that really isn't serving you. Here is this card, the Ten of Cups. Now, Cups is regarding emotions, your love, and it's reversed. And if you look at this card, you know, this is a huge, you know, perfect, happy card. I mean, look, there's these beautiful rainbow, there's this perfect castle, a couple together, there's even children there, all that greenery. It's just beautiful. It's just wonderful happiness. However, it's upside down. And that's because you're not completely happy. And it makes a lot of sense with, okay, you're making a start here. And just because you started doing this doesn't mean in the next 5 minutes or even the next hour that you're going to have a rainbow that goes over your house and life is all happy. It doesn't work that way. This is a process, okay? So with working this out, and remember, this is about giving time to yourself, because we can't, I mean, especially women are the rock. Women are the true source of, I'm sorry, the true source of society. There wouldn't be other people without women, and there wouldn't be humans that are generating, that are becoming born without women. It's up to us. And then when you got a family, the woman is the rock of that family. You know, they're taking care of the house. They're taking care of the children. They're taking care of dinner and cleaning. I mean, it never, ever stops. And when it becomes a monotonous cycle that you don't even stop to think about yourself and your needs, and it doesn't mean you have to do anything, what's the word? Physical, as far as, you know, let me go buy this and that and that. I'm not talking about like a physical, pleasurable shopping spree, although I love that. I'm talking about personally looking at yourself, realizing your worth, realizing all that you're working with, and how, you know, there's all this backed up emotions and all these birds in your head that you are finally letting out, but you need to understand the reason why you held on to that to begin with. This way, you can have an understanding not to even go back there at all, because the understanding will be so understood, and then we can get this changing. We can start bringing the happiness back in, the spark. Now the next card is Five of Wands, and upright, this is a battle. If you see, these women are all fighting. Now, it's not so much a physical battle, because you don't see anyone, you know, getting hurt or getting hit. It's more of a mental battle. And this is upside down. And you know what? This is really a good card to have upside down, because that shows that you're just done with the emotional battle that you've been carrying. And it sort of goes with these here. Okay, you're starting to release. You're starting to voice your words. you're letting out all those birds that are holding your thoughts, and you're realizing that you are not a prisoner. You do not need to stay in this position. You do not need to stay with these thoughts. And you know what? You're not going to fight about this. There's nothing to fight about. It's about coming to terms with yourself. And you do realize this. These are all great steps here. Now, the next card is my King of Cups. And like I said, cups is love and emotion. And it makes a lot of sense for me to see that you got this card reversal, this King is reversal, and then you have these Ten of Cups reversal. And it could be a whole lot of reason why this situation is what you're dealing with. Okay, let me explain. So the King of Cups is a person with emotional problems. He's got emotional addictions. Now, when someone hears the word emotions, the first thing they think of is drugs, alcohol, any form of that is usually the first thought of addiction. But it's not just about those forms. The most important addiction that some of us can all carry without even realizing is our emotions. Our emotions become such a problem that when they're so extremely painful, that is the reason that we start to create addictions, such as drinking, such as drugs, such as becoming possessive over people, over items. Maybe you have a shopping addiction. I think I do. Maybe you have a people addiction, meaning that you grab onto everyone in front of you and you sort of like latch onto them, almost suffocating them because you just feel that you constantly need to have somebody there. That's where this unhappiness is stemming from, okay? And when I see these cards, I see that you're making changes now because it's just, it's time and you can't keep doing this anymore. The good thing is that this card in the spread came reversed, which means that this person who's carrying whatever addiction they're carrying, which is emotion fed, he or she is trying to make a change. Being upside down, they're literally trying to make a change. It does not mean that, they're cured and they're perfect and they will never do whatever their addiction is anymore. It doesn't mean that, but it does mean that they are doing a huge investment in themselves to try and to start making this change. So you can understand now why, when you got someone that's like that, especially if you're in a relationship, you're married, or even when, let's say you still live with your parents, this can cause an extreme unhappiness, which you see going on here. However, you're making changes, right? You're not fighting, and then you can see where the fighting's coming on, because this can cause a whole lot of fighting. You're starting to speak, and maybe you you were afraid to speak, because if you spoke, usually when someone has an addiction like that, they're very self-defensive, and they're such a negative kind of person that they attack in a very unpleasant way. So, a lot of people with this kind of person end up deciding, you know what, I'm just going to shut up because it's not worth the fight, it's not worth the hassle, whatever your reasoning is. But you're not taking it anymore. You're starting to speak out. You've had so many birds in your mind, and you can see how this can all stem from there. You're letting them all out, because if they don't serve you, if they're not going to benefit you, if they're not going to literally make this great change for you, you're not dealing with it anymore, and you're done fighting. but you're still dealing with unhappiness in a person that has these problems. The good thing again is that this person is definitely making steps to change this. He or she does not want to be in this position anymore, and it's not easy. So this is where this comes, okay? This is where you need to take your time and give yourself a few minutes. You need to just take some me time, and you know what? If you can just do 5 minutes, and 5 minutes is really nothing. And then maybe all week you do 5 minutes, and maybe next week you add on 2 minutes, or maybe add on another 5 minutes. And before you know it, you're developing your time that you're worthy of to start thinking about things going on, thinking about releasing and bringing yourself together, balancing your chakras, whatever it is that you need to do, meditating, bringing that calm inside you. With the situation you got going on here, your next card is Three of Wands, and it's also reversed. Now, if you look at this picture upright, there's a person there, there's 3 wands, and this person is looking out into the horizon, and there is no knowing what is out there, but it's also knowing that whatever it is, you're going to make it an opportunistic path. Those 3 wands represent opportunities in so many areas: creativity, finances, love, your career, relationships, you name it. Whatever can be an opportunity to you. You have, this is showing that you have no idea what's out there, but you know that whatever you find, you're going to make something of it. But again, like I said, this card is upside down, which is showing that in your situation right now, in your present situation, you are making, you started making these steps, right? Releasing, sending those birds out. You're not fighting anymore. But this unhappiness here, obviously we see, you don't have any time for yourself. You're dealing with someone who is definitely trying to make a change, but you also don't even feel you have a future. You don't have, you don't feel like you have anything to look forward to. The next card is Lovers. Okay, and the Lovers is showing, out of this whole spread here, what you're dealing with, especially this person, you really do love, but you're just not happy. You love them very much, but you're not happy with where your life has gone with them. And that's where you need to really think about how you deserve and want your life to be by giving yourself little bit by little bit time. You are making changes right here with these 3 cards right here. The Page of Swords, 8 of Swords, and the 5 of Wands. These are steps that you're starting to make now. The last card of this deck is the Knight of Pentacles. I think we've had this card in the last 3 readings. Of course, Knight means delivery. Pentacles is delivery of love. Delivery of life, delivery of finances. But if you know the situation, right now there is nothing being delivered. There's nothing coming your way. There's nothing that you feel that you have to look forward to. So now it's time to make changes. You already took these steps, right? You're releasing, you're letting the thoughts out of your mind that don't serve you, and you are just refuse to be prison of anymore. And you're not going to sit there and fight. I mean, you're not going to waste your energy by fighting with people, because when you fight with people, most people that you argue with, even when there's innocence in this little argument or fight between the 2 people, everyone starts becoming defensive, and everyone's trying to prove or override the other just because they feel that emotion of being attacked. You're not doing that anymore. You're not wasting your time with this anymore. But you are unhappy, you're dealing with someone that's really trying to make changes in their life that involves you. You feel you have nothing to look forward, therefore you aren't receiving anything. What you put out there is what you get back. So now let's make this a positive spread. These cards are going to stay exactly like this. But now we're going to turn this around. The Hangman is going to be upright, and you're going to decide how many minutes you want to give yourself a day. Maybe you're going to do it, before you go to bed. And if you have children, maybe the children are already in bed so that you won't be disturbed and have that 5, 10, whatever minutes that you want to give yourself. But you are going to start doing what it takes to be quiet, to think. And you know what? Sometimes meditating or thinking, sometimes people need to write. I myself am a writer, so when I need to still my mind, which can run in 100 different directions, I'll start writing. And you know what? I'll just start writing whatever I'm feeling. And the sentences might not even complete each other. They might just stop because I jump to another. I will just continue writing. Like those are my time to myself. And usually I'll just close the notebook and I'll go back to it maybe 2 days later. And I start to read what I wrote being in that moment, and I start to discover areas that I didn't think about or I didn't see, which starts helping me to better myself and to heal myself, to see myself in a better light. Because I start doing this, my energy is going to change. My outlook is going to change. You bet your outlook's going to change. Your energy is going to soar so much that you are going to start seeing what's in front of you with positivity, with the ability to go out there and get what you're looking for or what you're wanting. There's not going to be like, oh, I can't do this, I got this. There's not going to be any of that going on. You're going to look out there and be like, you know what? This is what I want and this is what I'm getting. I deserve it. Again, this is going to change. And you're going to start being delivered all that you believe in, all that you deserve, all that you put out there. No matter what religion you are, no matter what your beliefs are, the bottom line of life is what you put out, you're going to get back. And a lot of what we put out is what we've learned to put out from our parents and our grandparents and our great-grandparents. And it goes so far back, we just don't even realize. But it's time to understand. And sometimes part of that, working through this, you have to work together because you yourself are trying to make these changes, yet you got someone here that's trying super hard to lose that addiction and stop that addiction, but they need to do this with you. You might not be in the same reasoning, but you are with this person because of you being used to being with that kind of energy. As this person is with you, because that person is used to who you used to be, meaning a person that never spoke up, a person who just blamed yourself and took on everything and kept yourself in that prison as if it's your fault and your life sentence challenge. And then, of course, you just fought, trying to instead of speaking where there's explanation, it becomes a fight that comes to bring nothing. So even though this person is very hard working on themselves, they need to realize that when they say like, oh, I'm not going to do this anymore, I am not going to drink anymore, I'm not going to use drugs anymore, I'm not going to yell every time I have something to say, because part of the emotion addiction is there's people out there that as soon as they are spoken to, they attack. They attack, and if energy could really physically do something, your heads would be knocked off. And this is a habit that they develop. Like, they don't even know how to talk without becoming defensive. So this is something that needs to be worked on. And as you're working on yourself, you are going to have this understanding to know how to deal with this person, and this person wants to make a difference. So now you're going to learn how to talk to this person without getting all defensive. Because you made all these changes, because now we want this to stay upside down, because we don't want that person to stay in their emotional addictive ways. So these cards we want to stay reversed. But now, because you've done this, and you're changing the energy patterns, and because you're changing the energy patterns, this person is going to be changing their energy patterns, because you're going to have an understanding, because you are dealing with this person, whether it's someone in the family, it's someone at work, it's someone at work. There's people we work with that we just can't get away from, or it's someone in your personal home, a husband or children or whatever. You have to deal with this person. But in the long run, it will all be worth it, because you take that time to find out who you are, which you've already started, and you also know you love this person so much, and you see this person that's making his or her attempt and putting energy into making that change as well. But remember, it can't just be a physical change. They need to understand why they became the person they became, because they have an addiction only because they're running away from what they don't want to face. But believe me, if you guys work through this, and what is the basis of all this? Love. We need to find the value of ourselves. We need to love ourselves and know that we're worth things to bring the good in. So I am going to leave the spread just as it is, because these are works in progress, right? We're not letting these be anymore. But these cards, oh, and this one too, okay? This is that you haven't given up, you still love, but these cards are where the changes are going to come from and turn around. And you're going to have something to look forward to. There's going to be good being delivered to you, and why not? What you put out, you're getting back, and you deserve that. But in the end, with all that you do, with all that you think, with all that you discover, because this is going to be a discovery too. It's not just, I got this problem and I understand this and that. No, this is going to be a little bit of digging, because this problem came from a long time ago. So if you can have an understanding as to why, you won't fall back into this problem. Because a lot of us make changes, and then we end up slipping. And sometimes we're aware of that slip, and we're like, darn, and we go right back. But then sometimes we're just like, fuck it. This was easier to deal with. And that's because that is what you learn to deal with to make life easy. This is something all of us have going on in one way or another. So I believe in myself. I believe in what I can do. And when I read these cards for you, whoever this pertains to, I believe in you as well. I know that this is not an easy journey, and it's not something you can just snap and, everything's fixed. But because you know that you are worth it, and that you know that you love yourself more than anything, this is going to be something you want to strive for. Alrighty, guys, that is today's reading. Again, I hope that it brought you guidance. I hope it directed you somehow. If ever you have questions regarding it, you guys can type them out, or you can send me a text, or you can send me a messenger, or you can call me. But if you guys call me, remember to leave a message. If I don't know the number, I usually don't pick up, but leave me a message and then I will log you in my phone and I will call you guys back. My number is 773-640-7886. And again, if anyone is in need of readings personally, we can do readings over the phone, or I can meet you. And if it's any, this is just pertaining to these regular readings, like this, okay? Like if you have questions or you need guidance or confirmation. But if you're looking for a reading that you want to look into your past life, or maybe you want to connect with someone who's passed on because you need closure of some kind, then those need to be done in person. And right now I am meeting people to do those readings. I don't have the space at my home at the moment to bring people here. But again, whatever you guys are in need of, you guys can call me, text me, messenger, whatever it works. Have a wonderful day. Happy hump day. Blessed be.